All right. Hello there, fellow entrepreneurs. Roger DeVoe here. And tonight is my first evening coffee with Roger chat. We'll see. I want to be making things like this more of a regular thing. But, I was just working away and kind of banging my head against the wall on a few things. And I realized that, you know what, I may as well kind of share what I'm doing, share what I'm going through with you to give you an idea of sort of the things that I'm going through during a product launch. These are all things that you're probably going through now, or if you're more in the beginning stages of launching a product, maybe these are things that you're going to be going through. So tonight, I just want to talk to you about really keeping it simple in your launch, how to simplify things, how to prevent getting overwhelmed, and where to start. So if you're watching this in the behind the scenes Facebook group, so glad that you're here. Feel free to comment right on the post. I have a few people, Michelle and Natalie, saying that you're finishing up meetings, you're going to make it. Don't worry, take your time. This is really a relaxed thing. That's why I've got my coffee. Yes, it's actually decaf coffee because I do want to sleep tonight. But I'm here just to answer questions and talk to you. And most importantly, I want to really, really share with you the number one thing that'll prevent you from getting overwhelmed. So what I find with a lot of people, and I notice a lot of people asking about it, is asking things like, how do I prevent getting overwhelmed? And there are so many things. And when I get started with one thing, it leads to another, which leads to another thing. And it gets completely overwhelming. And I don't know what to do. And I don't know where to turn. I don't know where to start. And I just want to say, I completely get it. Like I completely understand what you're saying because I go through it all the time. And I went through it for years, and that feeling of overwhelm prevented me from really taking action for years. And now in some cases, I'm going through a little of it now. And there's only a couple things that are preventing me from stopping my momentum. So I'm going to share that with you. So I see we have a couple of posts. So I'm just going to be monitoring the Facebook here, seeing any of the posts, seeing any of the questions. But let me just start by saying this. The number one thing you could do to keep things simple at first in your launch is to ignore most of what's out there. Ignore most of the training. Ignore what people are telling you to do. And what I mean by that is right now, I'm going through a couple launches, and one of the launches is a course. I'll get more into that in a moment in how it relates to what I'm talking about. But I've gone through the simple section of what I'm about to tell you, and now I'm in the point of trying to make things almost more complicated. And so here's a cool resource that I got. And I just want to give you an idea of how quickly these things can get overwhelming. This is really awesome. I ordered it from Russell Brunson. It was like $10, so why not? But this is 108 proven split tests. So this whole book, let me see if I can show you here. This whole book is just ads, landing pages, sales videos of just split tests, things you can add to increase your conversions. Does this word work over this word? Did this picture work over this video? Did this message work over a simpler message? All sorts of things. There's 108 of these things in there. Sales letters. Does the sale letter work better than the video? All sorts of things. And let me tell you, 108 things, all different ads and landing pages and course pages and sales types. This could make you lose your mind. And this could prevent you from taking action. And it could prevent you from a long time. So any of you who know my story know that I struggled for years trying to make money online. I tried everything and pretty much did everything that I could, trying to follow things like this, trying to follow the experts who told me I need professional looking videos. So I got a green screen, I got a fancy camera, and I went and I tried doing green screen videos. And experts telling me that I need a complicated course. So I started building out fancy courses on my idea because I knew that people needed my training. I knew they wanted, that I wanted them to hear my message, but I didn't know where to start. I didn't know how to get it out to them. So I just was following these experts and they kept telling me these things. You need to have these courses. You need to have these videos. You need to have a blog and get blogging and build up followers. Many of you may have heard that. You need to have a podcast. You need to launch a virtual summit, right? There are all these ideas out there to help you launch your business, but it gets completely overwhelming. Completely overwhelming. Because here's what they don't tell you. There's an expert that tells you you need to launch your own course. Well, okay. So now I need to launch my course. I need what domain name? Okay, my website. I got that. Well, what am I going to use for my landing pages? What am I going to use to build it? Am I going to build it in WordPress with a theme like Optimized Press? Am I going to get something like Lead Pages? What are the benefits? And maybe instead, I'm going to go over here and get a full system like ClickFunnels. I said it'll do it all for me. And then once I have my leads, well, what am I going to use to capture their emails? Am I going to go with an email autoresponder like Aweber or ConvertKit or GetResponse or MailChimp? What are the pros and cons? Should I start looking at something like Entreport or Infusionsoft, which I can't stand because the thing confuses the heck out of me? Now that I have the emails and I've captured it, now I need to sell them on my course. So I need to shoot videos. How am I going to do that? Where am I going to store my videos? Am I going to use a service like Vimeo? Am I going to use something like Amazon S3 storage to deliver my videos? When people buy, well, how am I going to take their payments? Am I going to go with a PayPal account, Stripe? Am I going to get my own through authorize.net and have my own merchant account? What's the differences? What do I need to look at? Once I've taken people's payments, how am I going to deliver my course? What am I going to use to lock down that content? Again, there are a lot of different membership softwares out there to look at. Well, I know I need to drive traffic and I need affiliates. So what am I going to use to track affiliates? Am I going to use a plugin for WordPress like iDev? Am I going to sell through something like ClickBank? All these questions start adding up, and this isn't even near all of it, because then as you start breaking into each one of those individual things and individual aspects of your business, a whole bunch of other questions start opening up. Colors to use, branding, words, automation, all these things. Where am I going to place my button? What messaging should I use? What should be my freebie offer to get their email? Right? You can see how you can go nuts. I can go on and on with this stuff. And this is what happened to me for years. I got caught up in this stuff and it just pulls you in. And it's real easy to kind of get caught up and get pulled into it and go on and on and on with it. So trust me, I get it. But I'm going to give you the solution right now. I'm going to give you a simplified version of it. If you like the way it sounds, send me a message. I've got past webinars on this topic. I've got downloads on this topic. And because you're part of my group, I'll just share them with you freely because I'm really thankful for you being a part of this group. I'm really going to start being a lot more active in it. And my whole goal is to pull the curtains apart and show you the behind the scenes of going from an idea to launching a business, launching a product. So let's back it up. Where should you start? If you have an idea, if you have something you want to sell, where should you start? Here's my answer. This is going to be my answer forever. I can't see ever changing this as being the thing that I think you should do. And that's live broadcasting, like I'm doing with you right now. That's webinars. Okay, nothing beats being able to do this. And there's a few reasons for that. But the number one reason is you get to test and validate your idea. So let me tell you why I struggled for years. Because I would go figure out how to shoot those fancy videos. I'd write the scripts, I'd shoot them, I'd edit them, and then I'd put them up for the world to see. And they didn't resonate with anyone. They didn't click with anyone because maybe the way that I positioned my product sounded like too much work. Or maybe the pain point that I thought my market was feeling didn't resonate with them. They were really feeling something else. They were looking for a different solution. And so the problem with what most people do is they'll set up that blog and they'll start blogging about that topic. They'll set up the course, they'll start trying to sell it, or maybe you'll shoot videos and you'll start trying to get your videos out there. But maybe your message isn't something that resonates with your market yet. You haven't tested it. Maybe your program that you've got isn't exactly what people want. Maybe there are things that you're teaching within your program that are too overwhelming and go over people's heads. And maybe there are things that you haven't included in there because you assume everybody knows it, but that's what people really want. And the only way you can find those things early on is by doing what I call live testing, doing something like webinars, going to your market and live broadcasting to them. And it's really easy to do. And again, I've got a lot of videos that I can give you for free that would share and show you exactly how you can do this, how you can pretty much for free get started doing your own broadcasts like this, doing your own webinars. And so the power of it is this: put together a webinar teaching your topic, launch it, put it out. It doesn't matter if you have 20 Facebook followers, 40 LinkedIn connections, maybe you got 50 people on Twitter, maybe you have 10 people's emails, maybe you have no emails. It doesn't matter. Take your topic and start sharing it with the followers that you do have and see if you get any interest. If people show up, then you know that you've got something. If nobody shows up, then you know that you haven't piqued their interest yet. You haven't hit the right pain point yet. So don't scrap your whole idea. Don't give up. Don't completely erase and maybe go do a different subject. Tweak your messaging. So if you were doing weight loss and you had the 5 mistakes that everybody makes that adds 3 pounds to your belt every month, let's say that's your topic. Nobody shows up. Who knows why? Maybe people don't want to hear about what they're doing wrong. Maybe it didn't resonate with them right. So maybe you twist that message and you talk about the one thing you can start doing to avoid gaining any more weight. All of a sudden, people start coming to that. Or maybe you change it to the 3 things you can do now to have more energy and feel your best. And even more people start showing up to that. Now, the content of the webinar stays the same. And the training that you have in your mind might stay the same. You don't need to change that. But just changing your approach might get more people's attention and they start showing up. So now you understand, okay, people didn't want to hear about what they were doing wrong, but my followers really wanted to hear the few things they can do to feel their best. They're tired of hearing about weight loss. That's huge. Imagine you shot videos, spent the time, spent the money, built an entire blog or website around all those previous ideas that didn't resonate. And this is what I did. And now you launch it and you find out, well, people don't resonate with that message. They resonate with this over here. Now you've got to redo it all. So now you've got a webinar, and let's say now people start showing up. And at the end of that webinar, what you're doing is you sell another webinar. This is your training. Don't build a whole course yet. Take your training, condense it down to like a 4 or 5 hour in-depth training that you're going to deliver almost like a live in-person workshop, but you're going to deliver just like I'm delivering it to you now. And frankly, with being able to broadcast like this to Facebook, you can build a secret group. Anyone who pays you through a free PayPal link that you can set up in 5 minutes, I can show you how to do that. You build a secret Facebook group. Anyone who pays, you manually add them to your secret group, and you can live stream just like I'm doing right now to that group, and only people who paid would have access. I mean, how cool is that? So you've got a course right there. So you don't need to build a whole thing out. So I want you to think about that. Now, on your webinar, maybe no one buys. Okay, well, I had 6 or 7 people show up to my webinar, but why did no one buy? So I'm going to look at their feedback. Maybe everyone was saying, it's too expensive, or I don't have time. Great. So now I know maybe my price isn't actually a problem, but I'm not building up the value enough. Or maybe people are saying, you know what, that sounds like a lot of work. I'm not ready for it. I don't think I could commit to it. So now I know the way I position my training sounds like a lot of work. So now I'm going to do the same webinar again. I'll do it maybe 2 weeks later or a week later. Exact same webinar because I know people are interested in it. But now I'm going to change the way I position my offer. Again, the content itself might not be changing. You probably know what your audience needs to get to the next level. But how you explain it to them, how you position it, is what's going to make the difference between people giving you money or not. So now all of a sudden you've got a webinar that works, people are showing up, and you deliver your product in a way that all of a sudden you make a couple sales. This to me is the point where everything changes. This is exactly what I did. I took an idea and I ran a webinar. Nobody showed up. So I went back to the drawing board, changed the topic, did the webinar. No one showed up. This is okay. I haven't lost anything. It wasn't like before where I spent months scripting, shooting videos to launch it to crickets. That hurts. That wastes a lot of time. That wastes a lot of money. Here was a webinar. I got an idea. I launched my webinar a few days later. If no one shows up, I'm out an hour or two of work. That's it. I'm fine with that. There's no risk. But the third webinar, all of a sudden people showed up. Now, I mean, it was like 7 or 8 people, but that's people. And they gave me feedback. So I give an offer. I tried to sell a live training and no one bought that first one. In fact, that's not true. One person said they wanted to buy, but because it was one person, I just messaged them privately. And instead of doing it the way I was going to do it, I just did a little bit of one-on-one help for them. But here was the coolest part. That fourth webinar I did, I had 11 people show up to it. 11 people watch it. And then what happened was I had 3 people buy a $400 live training from me. So on it, I just sold, hey, I'm going to do this training. I took the feedback that I got from trying to offer it on the other webinars where I started to have people showing up, and bam, I made $1,200. This whole process took less than a month. And this is when I first started. This whole process took less than a month. And I was able to, only doing a few live trainings, bam, made $1,200 just from doing a few webinars. And now that I had a few people, now I was ready to finish putting together my course, and I showed up live and I delivered the training to them. And then I got feedback from the people who were on that training. I listened to them. I learned from them. I saw what questions they asked, and then I just did it again. And guess what? More people showed up to the webinar and more people bought. And I did the same thing. I took the feedback, maybe 4 people bought this time, delivered the training again, paid attention to the questions, paid attention to the feedback, paid attention to the objections, and I did it again. And the last time I did it in this training, all of a sudden I had people showing up to the webinar, I had people buying, and I made a few $1,000s from doing it. And now every time I run this training, I make anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 doing it. So at that point, I now know I have a system. I know that I have a webinar people want to show up to. So I know the message that gets people interested to show up. And on top of that, I know what people want to buy. I know what they're going to buy from me. And because I've done it a few times, I know how to deliver the training in a way that'll really help them get results. That changes everything, because now what I'm going to do is, and by the way, Natalie, I can see your comments here, but you don't have to be on camera. I just saw that one comment that you did. But if anyone ever wants on future ones of these, let me know and I can bring you on camera with me. So you can get ready and I can actually give you a link to pop you in on the camera with me. So don't worry about that. But basically now that I've tested it, and I've done this a couple times, and I've done this with a partner of mine in the health niche as well. And we did the exact same thing. We did a couple Q&As. We got some feedback. We saw everyone was asking the same questions, put together a webinar, delivered it, answered all those questions, sold an in-depth training. And in under 30 days from taking the idea to delivering the training, made over $10,000 in sales doing this. And so I want you to understand the power of this. The power is that now you know what works. Now you can go start worrying about building fancy landing pages. Now I can start shooting videos to sell my training. Now I can take that training that I delivered live a few times and take the time to turn it into videos. And this is what I'm doing for one of my products right now that I'm going to be showing you the process through in this Facebook group, Behind the Scenes of Building an Online Business. I'm going to bring you through the process. So this is where I am now. Now I'm building the site. I'm building the pages. I'm setting up the payment structure, setting up the automated email sequence. Now I can do those things. Now I'm building it as a membership course. So when people pay, they'll get access to the video trainings. Anyone who purchased from me in the past for those live trainings, I'm going to give them access to this just as my thanks for them supporting me in the beginning. Plus, it'll help me get some beta testers through. They can go through, ask questions. I can refine it. But here's the difference. I can do that now and not feel like it's stressful, not feel like I'm pulling out my hair when I hit walls, because I've been paid to build my course. I've been paid to deal with these technical issues. Now, because I've been paid by people going through the live course to do this, I can get the fancier software. I can buy a more expensive mic. I can use a fancier camera to deliver my webinars. I can buy a fancier computer that can do my video editing that I'm going to need to do for doing my course. I can buy expensive software like ClickFunnels. So getting started, I used Google Hangouts and embedding them on my WordPress site. I used a template, a theme called OptimizePress, $97 one time. Now I've upgraded to ClickFunnels, which is much more expensive and it's a monthly fee. But again, I've used the money from delivering my course in the first place and testing it to now be able to buy these things. And now that I've done it, and now that I've shown I can make 5 figures with this model, I can take that money and do the things I need to do to turn it into a 6-figure business. And that's what I'm showing you here. And that's what I'm going to show you in this Facebook group. And then once I hit that level, I can take it to the next level. And again, you just keep going step by step. That's the part that most people miss. That's the part that prevents most of the training out there from really being able to help people. Because most of the programs out there teach you how to do everything. Build a course, launch your blog, launch a podcast, pay a designer, get the fancy branding. You don't need any of that stuff. I promise you, getting started, you don't need it. The only thing you need is a message. You need a message that can help people, and you need to understand your market and understand how to deliver that message to them. You do that, and you follow the free tools that I can share with you, then you will start to make money. And it doesn't need to be 6 months from now. You can start today with nothing, and you can have a product to sell 30 days from now. And I know you could do it because I did it. And I've done it with multiple products now to prove that this works. It works. It works better than anything I've done before. And I've tried multiple things. Trust me, I've tried almost everything. This works better than all of that. Get paid first, and then take the money you've made from your business in this next 30 days, even 60 days, and invest it back into making those fancy products. So I've gone on for a while. It's been half an hour now. Hopefully this serves you. I want to thank the few of you that were able to join me live. I know I didn't give a lot of notice for this. And frankly, that's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do more and more of these. Sometimes they'll be 5-minute clips. Sometimes I'm going to jump in for half an hour like today, depending what I'm doing. But my goal is to just take you behind the scenes, show you, take away the mystery, take away the overwhelm so that you can take action. So you can just pick whatever point in a launch or your business that you're at and take the info and go from there. And on top of that, use this group to ask me questions. If I see a few people asking the same question, I'll jump on live like this and I'll answer it. And I'll give you the chance to ask your questions. So really use it. When you see me jump on here live, feel free to ask your questions. I'm here for you. I'll grab my cup of coffee. We'll hang out together. Nothing formal. I'm not trying to sell you anything or anything like that. I'm just here to support you and here to help you. So very cool. Thank you so much for showing up. This was a blast. Let me know if you like it. Even if you watch the replay, let me know if you want me to do more things like this, and let me know what topics you'd like me to cover in the future. And until next time, go out there, unleash your inner expert. Thank you.